The Velkari transport vessel drifted helplessly through the void, its engines dead and life support failing. Captain Zirtha watched through the viewport as 3 sleek Predator ships completed another circle around her dying craft. The hunters were patient, methodical. They always were. "How long until life support fails completely?" Zirtha asked her second officer, though she already knew the answer. 17 minutes, Captain," came the hollow reply. The Velkari were a peaceful species, traders who had navigated the galaxy for 3 centuries without raising weapons against anyone. Their philosophy was simple. All conflicts could be resolved through dialogue and commerce. But the Krell Syndicate didn't believe in dialogue. They believed in prey and predator, and right now the Velkari were decidedly prey. The hunter ships circled again, their dark hulls adorned with tally marks representing previous kills. Zirtha counted at least 40 on the nearest vessel. Her crew of 18 would be added to that grim collection soon enough. "They're hailing us," her communications officer announced. Zirtha nodded wearily. This was part of their ritual. The Krell always offered the same choice: surrender all cargo and submit to slavery, or die in the cold vacuum of space. There was no third option. There never had been. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the scarred face of a Krell commander. His eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction. "Velkari vessel, you will surrender." The transmission cut off abruptly. All 3 hunter ships suddenly broke formation, their weapon systems powering up in unison. But they weren't targeting the Velkari transport anymore. They were looking at something else. "Captain, there's another ship approaching," her sensor officer said, his voice trembling. "It just appeared on our scanners. I don't understand how we missed it." "What species?" Zirtha demanded. "Unknown configuration. Wait. There are markings. Terran script. Captain, I think it's human." A collective gasp echoed through the bridge. Humans. The species that had emerged from a death world and somehow survived everything the galaxy had thrown at them. The species that other races whispered about in fearful tones. The species that refused to follow anyone's rules but their own. The human vessel was smaller than the Krell hunters, but it moved with deadly grace. Where the Krell ships were brutal and angular, this craft was smooth, almost organic in design. It bore scars too, but these weren't tally marks of victims. These were battle damage, hastily repaired and worn like badges of honor. The Krell commander's voice crackled over the open channel. "Human vessel, this is Krell territory. You will leave immediately, or be destroyed." The response came in heavily accented galactic common, spoken with an almost casual indifference. "Krell vessel, this is the Terran corvette Defiant Spirit. Your territory ends where our conscience begins. Release the Velkari vessel and withdraw." Zirtha felt her respiratory slits flutter in disbelief. 1 ship against 3? The humans were either insane or possessed tactical knowledge far beyond her understanding. The Krell commander laughed, a harsh grating sound. 1 human ship against 3 Krell hunters? Your species' arrogance will be your end. "Buddy, you're not the first to tell us that," the human replied. "But we're still here, and species a lot tougher than yours aren't. Last chance." The Krell opened fire. What happened next would be discussed in Velkari academies for generations. The human corvette didn't try to tank the incoming fire or outrun it. Instead, it danced. There was no other word for it. The ship moved in ways that should have torn it apart, executing maneuvers that violated every principle of physics Zirtha understood. Krell plasma bolts carved through empty space where the Defiant Spirit had been microseconds before, and then the human ship returned fire. The weapons were unlike anything in the known galaxy. Not plasma, not lasers, but something that screamed through space like thunder given physical form. Kinetic slugs accelerated to relativistic speeds, each one carrying the fury of a small star. The first Krell hunter exploded before it could adjust its targeting. The second managed to fire 1 more volley before a human railgun round punched through its reactor core. The third hunter tried to flee. "Oh no, you don't," the human voice said calmly. The Defiant Spirit accelerated impossibly fast, overtaking the fleeing Krell ship in seconds. A sustained burst from its forward guns shredded the hunter's engines. The Krell vessel went dark, adrift but intact. Then the human ship turned toward the Velkari transport and slowly approached. Zirtha's crew stood frozen, unsure whether they had been saved or simply claimed by a different predator. "Velkari vessel, this is Commander Sarah Chen of the Defiant Spirit. We're transmitting repair protocols for your engines. Our engineer says your power couplings just need a hard reset. You should be mobile in about 30 minutes. Zirtha found her voice. Commander Chen, we have no way to repay you. Our cargo holds are nearly empty and... We don't want payment, Chen interrupted, and Zirtha could hear the smile in her voice. Where we come from, you don't leave people to die in the dark, especially not while bullies are circling. Do you need an escort to the nearest station? Why, Zirtha blurted out. Why would you risk your life for strangers? There was a long pause. When Chen spoke again, her voice was softer, reflective. Because a long time ago, when humans were just learning to reach for the stars, we were alone and scared. We made a promise then. If we ever made it out here, if we ever became strong enough, we'd never let others feel that same helplessness. The galaxy has enough predators, Captain. It needs more people willing to stand between the hunters and the hunted. As the Defiant Spirit maintained a protective orbit, while Velkari engineers worked frantically to restore their systems, Zirtha understood something profound. The humans weren't the most advanced species in the galaxy. They weren't the strongest or the fastest. But they possessed something that made them more dangerous than any Krell hunter. They possessed choice. And they chose to be protectors. 17 minutes became 30. Then an hour as the Velkari transport's engines roared back to life. The Defiant Spirit escorted them to the edge of civilized space, then vanished into the darkness as mysteriously as it had appeared, searching for the next ship that needed a guardian. Behind them, the disabled Krell hunter drifted in silence, its tally marks now meaningless. The hunters had been circled, and for once they had been the prey,